When rappers finally make it, they come into a lot of new fame and fortune all of a sudden, and not everyone knows how to handle it. Here are 7 rappers who completely let themselves go. Most of them you wouldn't recognize today, so stay tuned. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Lil Pump. So there are many different ways I could take the whole Lil Pump has let himself go, because he's given me a lot of material to work with. I could talk about his physical appearance and how he's basically a knockoff of himself in certain fashions, how he got out of shape, or I could talk about his mental health and how he's so determined to be controversial that he's doing stupid things left and right and people are starting to get bored with it. Instead, I want to talk about a recent issue that happened with him. Mainly, he went and did a music video called I Hope I Don't Die, and he literally got bitten by a snake on set. Thankfully for him, it wasn't a poisonous snake, but no doubt it hurt. As for where he got bit on the hand. So considering all the places where he could have gotten bitten, it wasn't that bad. But his reaction was priceless. He freaked out, threw the snake away, and then decided to go screaming to the camera and shouting to anyone that would listen that he got bit by a snake. Now, I know it may seem like I'm poking fun at Lil Pump for a situation that clearly wasn't his fault, but it honestly kind of is his fault. Did he let himself go so much that he felt he had nothing to fear from snakes? I don't know, Lil Pump. Get it together. A$AP Rocky.
A$AP Rocky is in more trouble than we initially thought, and Swedish authorities have no plans to release him anytime soon.
This is the story of A$AP Rocky and his arrest by the Swedish police. And while it can be interpreted in many ways as letting himself go, it's just a weird story all around. So here's what happened. A$AP Rocky is a rapper who was doing a tour and concert in the country when some fans decided to harass him and his entourage. A fight broke out and those fans were hurt as a result, which led to the arrest of A$AP Rocky and some of his crew. Though getting arrested is definitely one form of letting yourself go, the struggles that Rocky was facing was only just starting. Trust me, it got worse, because not only was he detained in Sweden, he was also put into solitary confinement, which tends to have an interesting effect on a person's mind, not to mention his body. The prison that Rocky was put into was not exactly nice to the prisoners. Granted, there is a certain level of animosity that is done to prisoners because of who they are, but fair treatment is required in prisons. But not here apparently, because all Rocky got to eat for 2 weeks was apparently an apple. Just an apple. I'm a big guy, I couldn't survive off of that. Could you? So by the time he got seen by his US appointed official, after much dragging of feet on the Swedish part, it was clear that A$AP Rocky wasn't in picture perfect health, and it could get worse should they decide to detain him longer and keep doing this regimen to him, which they honestly did for a lot longer than people suspected because the Swedish court kept extending his sentencing. Eventually, A$AP Rocky was released, but it was anything but easy, and the situation not only drew eyes from the US government, but from the president himself. So who is to blame here? A lot of people. But Rocky did have a part to play in this, despite what he may think, which goes to show that you don't want to let yourself go in terms of the power you have over yourself. Don't get into fights no matter what. Cardi B.
People be commenting like, oh my gosh, Cardi, why did you fix your teeth?
When it comes to the one and only Cardi B, she is a person to be respected, but also looked at curiously. She started out at the bottom of the ladder as a dancer and worked hard to get her first hit, Bodak Yellow, out, which launched her into superstardom. And anyone who knows Cardi B knows that she takes great pride in her figure and that she aims to be the best looking woman on the planet, which is all fine and good until you start to betray part of what you believe and suffer consequences because of it, which she did, in bulk. And no doubt she's regretting all that she did to try and keep her fine-toned figure. So what exactly started this escapade of getting work done on her body? Simple. She got pregnant. To be clear, it is not a bad thing to get pregnant. It's just that Cardi B didn't expect it to happen when it did. She and her husband had a baby, a little girl named Culture, and as noted, it wasn't a planned child. In fact, Cardi B is on record saying that she freaked out when she found out she was pregnant because she wasn't even 30 at the time, in the prime of her career, and now she has to take care of a child. There are regular people with these issues that are just as legitimate. Sometimes people just aren't ready to take care of a child. Due to this, a lot of thoughts went through Cardi B's mind, including the one about her music career being over thanks to her now being pregnant. Despite those thoughts, she made it through, and with her husband's encouragement, she not only had the baby, but is back in Cardi B form, or at least that's what we all thought. Cardi B truly does love her body, and she had noted in the past that she had never had plastic surgery on it, which was true at the time. The only thing she changed, in fact, was her teeth, because she had a few crooked teeth, and she wanted a beautiful smile. $40,000 later, and she had that, which for her wasn't a beauty thing per se, but a mental thing, as she's been made fun of because of her teeth. So that's something you can respect and understand. But after her pregnancy, she started to have doubts about her body, even though just about any fan, male or female, would have told her that she still looks great. She didn't believe it, so she had a ton of work on her body done. Now, to be fair, having plastic surgery was her choice, and she had every right to do it. but she didn't rest the required amount of time it takes for her body to heal after the surgeries. She went right back out on the road because she wanted her money, among other trivial things. This caused her to cause serious damage to her body, including her legs and feet swelling to insane proportions.
Led to complications weeks later with Cardi, which included experiencing severely swollen feet.
I'm sure that's hard to picture or imagine, so Cardi B actually decided to show what was going on with her body. In one social media post, she revealed that her feet were in so much pain that they had literally ballooned to many times their natural size. It was only after this insane amount of pain that she took time off from concerts and her tour schedule to take care of herself. A real case of too little too late, don't you think? The irony, though, is that if she had just stuck to her word, she wouldn't have had plastic surgery at all, and thus wouldn't be going through this pain, but she felt ugly, when she clearly wasn't, and like many celebrities, did far too much to herself. Whether she continues down this path is unknown. She's a very vain person at times, as you can see, so she might go off the rails once again. I guess we'll just have to see. Eminem.
Watching it, but I just don't remember being here. But that's kind of like at that point, at that particular time, is kind of where I was at. So
Eminem's life has been chronicled many times over the last 2 decades, as it was in 2000 that he made his presence known in the rap world. Since then, he's gone through many changes both physically and mentally, and there's no doubt that he let himself go many times throughout these last 2 decades. Sometimes in a small way, sometimes in a big way, and sometimes in a life-threatening way. Let's rewind back to 2000 through 2010, when Eminem was the most popular and best-selling musical artist in the world. Yup, that was his title, and he lived up to it in many ways. But as fame and power often do, they pressure you to do bad things. The stress of making music, along with having a stressful relationship with his longtime girlfriend turned wife turned ex-wife Kim.
But I don't know if he was a good husband or not, really. He's the only husband I've been with, so I can't compare him to anybody else.
Led to Eminem starting to eat excessively, meaning not in a very healthy way. Eminem was in such a state that he would go to McDonald's, where he frequently visited so much that the people who worked behind the counter knew him by name, and they would get his order ready before he had even ordered it. Imagine how many times you'd have to go to a McDonald's for them to remember your order like that. It even got so bad that people thought they recognized him, but then turned and said, "Eminem ain't fat." This hit Eminem very hard, and the transformations he went through because of this were numerous and long-lasting. Then, the substance misuse, also a result of the stress, almost took his life. It was here that he realized he needed to do things better. He went and got healthier, refused substances, and worked hard to get his life back in order. While it's not 100% better, he has had some issues over the years, but he's bounced back strong from them. He himself physically is. He's been sober for 10 years, which is quite an accomplishment. He let that accomplishment fuel him, and he made arguably some of the best works after he got sober. Though to be clear, he had some major struggles in his recovery. The event, not the album. The biggest one being that he went from being hooked on food and substances to being hooked on exercise. He had a treadmill and exercise bikes in his house, and he would go on that thing for hours until he felt healthy, which is not recommended. Thankfully, he got out of that addiction too. As for right now, Eminem is in full healthy condition, so much so that people are surprised by just how well he looks, despite the things he's been through. He's still cranking out rap music and had one of the best-selling albums of 2018 via Kamikaze. So while he's let himself go a lot, he's brought himself back together, and that shows you can't keep Slim Shady down. Did you want to win any of these items on the screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right back into the video. Drake.
And too much liquor in a celebrity plus somebody that they don't like is not a good thing.
Drake is one of the most famous and legendary rappers in the world today. He's one of the most loved rappers by fans, and his music is constantly breaking records on the charts. Just look at what he did in 2018 and tell me the man doesn't know how to break records. He's also a very passionate Toronto Raptors fan, the team in the NBA who just won the title for the first time, and he was there to cheer them on and celebrate with them. So you'd look at him and think, how has he let himself go? He looks fine. And it's true. Physically, he's in really good condition. His friends and family would attest to that. But mentally, well, Drake's got one big flaw. His temper. Yeah, when Drake mentally lets himself go and flies off the handle, it's honestly not pretty, and there are plenty of examples of this happening to him over the years. For example, there was a period of time where he was dating fellow rapper and star Rihanna. If you know her history, then you know her most infamous relationship was with rapper Chris Brown, who wasn't kind to her in any way, shape, or form when you get right down to it. After a big separation that spilled over to the news, Drake dated her, and Chris Brown tried to play it off coolly by talking to Drake at a nightclub and saying there was no hard feelings. Yeah, you can see where this is going, right? Drake didn't want to hear anything from Chris Brown. He said some not so nice things about Brown, Brown threw a jab, and Drake threw one back, and the brawl was on. one that caused quite the media stir, even though details about what exactly happened never emerged. The two even did a mocking of the fight during a skit once at the EPCs. But still, it happened. And before you try and say that one event doesn't prove intent, you need to slow down a bit. Another time in a nightclub, his crew was insulted, and Drake personally went after the people who did the insulting. After being taken out of the nightclub, he threw thousands of dollars at the bouncer in order to let him back in, because he wanted the people who were talking smack. You might call that passion and loyalty to his friends, but it's clear that this was some deep-rooted anger he was letting out. Oh, but it's not the end there. Last year, during his time watching the Raptors, they had a match against the Washington Wizards, and when they did, he got into a shouting match with player Kendrick Perkins. This shouting match got so intense that he had to be separated from him by both teammates. And then, he went and followed him back into the locker room area to talk some more smack. That's what you call unrelenting, folks. Would you believe that's still not all? Because if you look into the music of Drake, you'll notice that there are a lot of disses and jabs at other people at times. Drake has been in many feuds over the years with a variety of different rappers, and when he has felt personally insulted, he didn't hesitate to let loose some disses on those who gave it to him. Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, Pusha T, and more have battled Drake lyrically, and Drake has always fought back. Sometimes incredibly hard. One feud actually went years before it was resolved. So you can see, Drake is never afraid to defend himself, and that's fine to an extent, but the truth is that he has a hard time controlling that temper, and that gets him into a lot of trouble. Now sure, objectively, nothing he has done has gotten him in jail, but sometimes timing is a key part of having a temper, and if he goes off at the wrong time, he will end up there. Kanye West.
He got his Twitter again until I started seeing tweets come in from other people, like retweeting them.
If we're being totally honest here, Kanye West is the king of letting himself go, both mentally, somewhat physically, and most definitely financially. He used to be one of the most dominant rappers of his time, and then he fell and started to bring a lot of haters against him. And then he made a great comeback with power and got back into the spotlight. But as 2018 and 2019 has shown, Kanye West has fallen heavily into mental instability, and he honestly has himself to blame for part of this. This is a guy who went on a near 100 tweet rant about Drake, his life, those who threaten his family, the songs that he has made and doesn't apologize for, and more. This is a guy who scared the entire gaming community when he found out that legendary game creator Hideo Kojima was in New York and tried to find out where he was, for reasons no one knows. Still not enough? This is a guy who created one of the most explicit songs ever in I Love It, and had one of the oddest music videos to boot with it. Not to mention he wears clothes that clearly don't fit him, and apparently is spending more money than he makes, to the extent that he asked Mark Zuckerberg to help him out financially, so that he can make what he loves. And then of course there is his bipolar disorder, which he openly admits that he has, but doesn't take the medicine needed to help him combat his condition because it messes with his flow. Even his wife Kim Kardashian is fed up with much of his antics, not to mention the world at large. When you see Kanye trending on Twitter, you know he's likely done something incredibly outlandish. Just when you think he's done acting up, he'll shock the world with his latest deal. There are days when Kanye is honestly just fine, and in very recent memory, he hasn't done anything too outrageous. But with him, it's only a matter of time, and he's still doing things with his money and brand that is very much out there. Who knows what he'll do next? And to be honest, do we really want to know what he'll do next? 6ix9ine.
Weeks after 6ix9ine testified against his former associates, Anthony Harv Ellison and Aljamiah Nuke Mack of the 9 Trey Bloods.
If we're talking about rappers who let themselves go and deserve no pity, 6ix9ine is at the top of the list. It's not even close in many respects. Yes, even Kanye is better than him because Kanye does respect some people, if not all. But his arrest and the court case against him proved that the only person 6ix9ine respects is himself. So what happened? Simple. In November of 2018, he was arrested for various serious acts by the FBI. Several of these charges were major felonies, and some of these carried the potential for life in a prison sentence. And to be clear, 6ix9ine did these things that he was charged with. He later took a plea deal in order to get out of the 47 plus years he was facing because of these charges. This goes to show that he is indeed not as tough a guy as he preached, and many are noting how this will change his image once he gets out of jail, if he gets out. Sure, if you ask him, he's not only getting out, but he's getting out soon. He'll be facing a judge for his sentencing in December, and he's already banking on getting out soon. Whether that happens is up for debate, but 6ix9ine has truly lost just about everything that he tried to gain for himself, despite telling others otherwise. He can't say he's a hardcore rapper now, even with jail time, because he's a snitch. He angered the entire rap community, and he responded to their hate about his snitching by saying they are jealous of him. They say prison changes a man, but in 6ix9ine's case, it just fully revealed who he really is. Well, there you have it, everyone. A look at many rappers who have let themselves go in a variety of ways. Which rapper are you most surprised about in regards to their conditions? Should another rapper be on this list? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe. I'm King Trending, and I'll see you next time.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.